Welcome to Murder by Nature, where the darkness of true crime, unsolved disappearances, and chilling mysteries come to life. I am your host, Jasmine Ramirez, and if you're brave enough to join us, prepare for a journey into the unknown. I want to begin by thanking each and every one of you for sticking with us through the long silence. It's been a year and a half since we last spoke, but despite our absences, you've kept the shadows alive by tuning in, and for that, I'm forever grateful. During this time away, life took some unexpected turns. I got married, welcomed a baby into the world, and yet the darkness still calls to me. For now, I'm back and ready to return to our weekly journeys of the unknown, to bring this community back to life in a time that feels darker than ever. If you have a story that needs to be told or a mystery that still haunts you, don't hesitate to send this to us in our email. It's in our bio and every streaming platform. Your stories are as much a part of this show as the ones that we share. Now, with all of that, let's step into the shadows together and dive into tonight's case. Our references today are Wikipedia, Reddit, newsbulletin.com, Unsolved Mysteries, focalmedia.com, and charliesprojects.org. I really want to highlight Charlie's Projects because this is a platform that hosts so many unsolved cases, so many details that they find, and they try and bring light to those cases. So always stop by and look at that. Tara Calico was born February 28, 1969 in Belen, New Mexico, to David and Patty. From an early age, she displayed a strong sense of independence and a deep commitment to achieving her goals. Growing up, she lived in an area that was very close-knit community. It reminds me a lot of my community. Around her, she had strong, supportive, loving family. Patty was a constant sense of encouragement for her. She did have a father named David, and there's not much information about him. But she did have a stepfather, and I wanted to highlight him in this because he did play a very important role in her life and shaped her in the way that she was determined, her work ethic. Everything came from her parents. They provided her with the foundation to pursue her dreams and develop a very driven, responsible young woman. And that's who she became. Tara was the type of person who never let a moment slip by unnoticed. She was known for her relentless drive, efficiency, and fierce independence. Friends and family also described her as someone who thrived on a sense of structure and purpose. She was meticulous for planning every detail of her life, whether that was creating a to-do list, plotting out her study schedule, or setting time aside for her hobbies. Everything in Tara's life had a place. Her disciplined approach to life wasn't just about getting things done. It was about achieving with intention. Her routine was not just a means to stay organized, but a way for her to feel grounded and purposeful in everything that she did. Tara was a sophomore at the University of New Mexico. She was determined to build a bright future. She was driven by a deep passion for understanding the human mind and helping others, which led her to pursue a career in psychiatry or psychology. She wasn't determined on which one yet. She was nearing a perfect grade point average. Tara was on track to achieve all of her dreams. She was particularly fascinated by the complexities of the human brain and the potential to bring a meaningful change to the lives of those who struggled with mental health challenges. Now, her academy was something that she was excelling in. She thirsted for knowledge, and she was only matched with that knowledge with a strong work ethic. These two went hand in hand for her academics. In addition to her studies, Tara also held a part-time job at the local bank. She balanced her responsibilities with kindness and grace. Tara's determination wasn't limited to her academics or professional aspirations. Her sense of responsibility and dedication extended to her relationships as well. Having recently graduated from high school, she left a lasting impression on her classmates and teachers. She was well liked for her kindness, her ability to connect with others, and her steady presence as a reliable friend and family member. Tara had a rare ability to her social life and her academics and work commitments, always making time for those who mattered the most to her. She valued close relationships and worked hard to nurture them, ensuring that she stayed in touch with friends and family despite her busy schedule with work, with school, with anything else in between. At home, Tara lived with her mother, Patty, and her stepfather. Her relationship with her mother was strong. The two of them shared a special bond. Tara and her mother were inseparable in many ways, often enjoying quiet morning bike rides together. It was the time for the two of them to catch up, share thoughts, and enjoy the simple pleasures of being with each other. However, the routine changed when Patty stopped joining Tara for her morning rides. Patty started to become increasingly concerned about the speed of the cars on the highway, but also she didn't feel safe because she felt like someone was following her and Tara every time they would get up and ride. This was something that she vocalized to her. And now, while this shift in their routine was a small one, it started to reflect a growing sense of the uneasiness that began to come to their community. Now, their roads started to become busier, more dangerous. A lot of more people started to travel these roads. And despite this, Tara's focus and energy never wavered. She did not want to adjust her routine. She just doing the things that she loved, all while maintaining the balance that she had worked so hard to create. Her ability to stand out and be committed to her goals is what made her kind of achieve everything that she was going for. It was this unshakable drive that truly defined her. Whether she was pursuing academics, helping others, or nurturing the relationships closest to her, she lived her life with intention. And that's what she was going to continue to do. Even though her mother was bringing up these concerns, she wasn't going to let that change the path that she was on. But even with this, even with that intention, that lasting impression, tragedy was still going to strike. Because this is a true crime podcast, we know that we're going to dive into some mystery here. On the morning of September 20th, 1988, Tara made it very clear to Patty, "If I am not back by noon, come find me." This was one comment that seemed so casual at the time, and it was going to haunt Patty's life for the rest of the years to come. Tara left the house around 9:30 a.m. dressed in a white t-shirt with First National Bank printed on it, white shorts with green stripes, and white sneakers. Her pink Huffy bike with its distinctive yellow control cable stood out against the black asphalt of the highway. This was a familiar sight to the drivers who frequently passed by. The road of the New Mexico State Road 47 was a popular road for cyclists and joggers. Now, Tara has ridden this road countless times before, so it was nothing unusual about her to be riding out here. It was just a typical morning for her. She had plans to meet with her boyfriend for a tennis match at 12:30 p.m. that day, and as she prepared to leave, she joked with her mom, Patty, that if she got a flat tire and didn't return by noon, Patty should come look for her. Tara left her tennis clothes, school books that she was going to be using that day because she had a class at 3:30 on her bed. Now she was going to go play tennis with her boyfriend as a little date and then go attend class. She confidently set out knowing she'd be back on time for her match and the rest of her afternoon. Again, she planned this every single day. Her ride was 36 miles round trip along the highway, a route that she's become to know intimately over the years. Tara's bike was one that was very familiar on the road. Now, the bright colors really stood out. Bright colors really attract drivers. It's something that people know and they look for. And Tara's bike was very familiar during this time. Tara put on her headphones with a cassette tape of the band Boston playing in her Walkman and enjoyed the music as she pedaled along in rhythm with her ride. When the clock struck noon and Tara still had not returned, Patty became a little concerned. Now, Tara was always punctual, and the silence that followed was very unsettling. It was unlike her to not return as planned. Patty worried, and she set out to retrace her daughter's route along the highway. Driving northbound around State Road 47, she called out her name, and she continuously called out her name. She searched and searched the familiar desert ranch land and hoped to spot her daughter on her bright pink bike. With each passing minute, her fear deepened, and she found no trace of Tara. By now it was clear something wasn't right. She's always been on time, and Patty could not shake the growing feeling that something terrible had happened. Panic set in, the minutes stretched into hours, and the realization began to hit that Tara was simply not delayed. She was missing. Patty returned home with a heavy heart of dread and immediately contacted the county sheriff's department to file a missing persons report. As Patty contacted the authorities and the search for Tara began, the tension at home grew. Tara's younger sister, Michelle, was only a sophomore at this time, so she was still in high school. And that day quickly became one that she would never forget. She stated that she remembered one of her sister's best friends and her boyfriend came to school to pick her up. She later recalled this in an interview in News Bulletin. They picked me up, and when I got there was a bunch of cops. Michelle immediately was struck by the scene, greeted at her home. The house was filled with law enforcement officers, friends, family, community members. It was chaos. Everyone was there to help, but the unsettling reality of Tara's disappearance had only started to sink in. The home that was normally filled with comfort was now filled with buzz of confusion, fear, and desperation, and hopes for Tara's safe return. The overwhelming weight of the situation became too real for Michelle as she tried to sense the reality of what was about to come, the reality of the authorities, the growing fear that was going through the community. Now, as the investigation unfolded, a few witnesses recalled seeing Tara right along the road. And a twist in this deepened mystery, the police kind of didn't really know what to do. This was a long stretch of highway, lots of cars, lots of community. How do you go about searching all of this? So that's when they started to develop search teams, as normal investigations do. And they found fragments of Tara's Walkman and the cassette tape that she was playing. Now, Patty became convinced that these items were deliberately broken and dropped by Tara as a way to leave a trail behind her. This theory gained traction when part of the Walkman was found 19 miles east of Highway 47 near the remote John F. Kennedy campground. Tara's stepfather speculated that she intentionally left these items behind to mark her path. Now, near the cassette tape, investigators also found bike tracks and marks that appear to resemble a struggle, raising more questions than answers. As investigators began to explore the possibility of foul play, their attention turned to Tara's home. They started questioning her parents, wondering if her daughter was unhappy or expressed a desire to run away. This theory, however, was met with a strong sense of denial. Tara's family described her as a bright, cheerful young woman. There was so much that she wanted to fit into a day. She was a little machine. It was amazing, her stepfather expressed, his voice filled with heartache. For weeks, investigators scoured the area with local and state police alongside hundreds of volunteers searching on foot, horseback, four-wheelers, even planes. But the only tangible evidence of Tara's presence along that highway was her pieces of broken Walkman and the marks of the ground. Despite no witnesses seen in abduction, 7 people later reported that Tara was seen riding back towards her home at 11:45 a.m. Her headphones were on. Multiple witnesses also recalled seeing an older model pickup truck following her closely behind. It had a camper shell, possibly a 1953 Ford model. But frustratingly, the truck and its owner was never found. In the 9 months following Tara's disappearance, this was the only evidence that police can uncover, and the only evidence that comes back to haunt the family. As days go to weeks, weeks go to months, this case starts to go cold. And it wasn't until the summer of the following year, with Tara still missing and hope fading, an unsettling turn of events was about to thrust her case back into the chilling spotlight. On June 15th, a woman in Port St. Joe, Florida, made a routine trip to her local convenience store when she stumbled upon a gruesome Polaroid photo lying on the ground in the parking lot. It was an image of a young woman and a boy bound and gagged in the back of a van, their mouths sealed with duct tape. A horrific scene sent chills down her spine, and she immediately realized the gravity of the situation. The woman contacted the police and described the circumstances surrounding the photo's discovery. As she was walking into the store, she recalled a white, windowless Toyota cargo van that had been parked nearby. A man that was driving the van had a mustache who appeared to be in his 30s. In response, law enforcement set up roadblocks in hopes to intercept the mysterious vehicle, but despite their best efforts, the man and his van were never located. The haunting nature of the photograph, coupled with the unsettling discovery, prompted Polaroid officials to confirm that the picture had been taken before May of 1989. as the specific type of film that was used in this photo was newly available. Witnesses began to come forward claiming that the girl resembled the one in the photo had been seen walking around Port St. Joe shortly before the photo was discovered. These witnesses reported that she was accompanied by several adult males who appeared to be giving her verbal orders, casting this eerie shadow over the circumstances surrounding the girl's disappearance. Valencia sheriff officials first learned about the colored Polaroid on July 28, 1989, when Tara's stepfather called to report it. He said that a friend had seen it on a Current Affairs, which was a news article, kind of like America's Most Wanted. The image surfaced in Port St. Joe on Florida's Panhandle, about 1,500 miles away. The police reports show that it was found a month earlier, though, on July 15th, 1989. Tara's family quickly came forward, saying that the girl resembled their missing daughter. Another New Mexico family found the same way about a young boy that was in the photo, and they believed that it was their missing son, 9-year-old Michael. Now, Michael was reported missing in April of 1988 while hunting with his father and vanished from the same area as Tara was in. His mother identified the boy in the photography as her son. But tragically, Michael's remains were found later in 1990. The FBI examined this photo, but could not determine that this was Tara. They couldn't say that it was. Forensic analysis noted that the girl's hairline and ears were similar to Tara's, and she bore a scar on her calf that was very similar to the one that Tara got in a car accident. Now, the true nature of this photography, whether it was staged or if the children were generally being held against their will, was a mystery, and it would continue to be a mystery. As the investigation continued, 2 similar photographs surfaced over the years. One taken with film that was only available starting June of 1989 was found near a residential construction site in California. It had the girl's face with her mouth covered by duct tape. Although the image was blurry, Patty believed the girl looked like her daughter, noting the cowlick on her right temple and a lazy eye similar to Tara's. The blue striped fabric that the girl laid upon bore a striking resemblance to a pillow seen in the original photography that was sent to them. The third photograph was taken on film, not available until February of 1990, and it showed a woman loosely bound and gagged, wearing black large frame glasses with her eyes covered. A man was seated next to her in the passenger seat of an Amtrak train. Now, Patty wasn't certain whether this was Tara, but also started to think this might be a sick, cruel joke. These photos continuously came, but the images kind of changed a little bit. With the uncertainty if that last image was Tara, the theories start to kind of go out the window. Until 1998. Now, no body was found, no additional evidence came, but she was declared dead. A judge decided to rule this a homicide as there was too many uncertainties of the case, and unfortunately the case goes cold. There's no new evidence, no leads, no details. In 2008, Sheriff Rene Rivera of Valencia County, New Mexico, stated that they received significant developments regarding the disappearance of Tara Calico. He indicated that he had insights to her case and identified 2 suspects. He referred to them as 2 men who were teenagers at the time of Tara's disappearance. These individuals were reportedly following Tara on a bike when the incident report came. Rivera explained that in the moment of panic after the incident, the teenagers disposed of her body. However, without remains to sustain a claim, law enforcement faced challenges in making arrest. Now, this pissed off Tara's family. They did not understand why they were bringing these allegations to light if they had no concrete evidence, if they had no claims to where her body was, if they didn't know anything. How can you make these claims? They went to the media outraged, stating that they had no evidence, so why would they do this? Now again, it starts to go cold. With nothing to come from it, no arrests were made. No more evidence came out. On June 6, 2023, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office made a groundbreaking announcement, reigniting hope into the hearts of those that were still seeking answers in Tara's case. In a press release, they shared significant progress had been made in collaboration with the FBI regarding the investigation into her mysterious disappearance. This news was reported by Valencia County News Bulletin, was a beacon of potential justice finally after a decade of uncertainty. Sheriff Rowland further elaborated on this promising development when he spoke to The Sun on June 28th, stating law enforcement believes that they finally identified the offenders associated with Tara Calico's disappearance. Excitement buzzed through the community as he revealed the new evidence had emerged from the investigations that began in October of 2020 and continued to the present day. Prospect of charging and arresting individuals involved, bringing a sense of urgency and renewed determination to the long, cold case. In further signs of progress, Rowland mentioned that the district attorney's office had assigned a dedicated team of prosecutors to go through and review the investigation. This case has obvious challenges due to its age and circumstances, he noted, recognizing the complexities that 34 years of investigative work presented. Legal experts were briefed, and momentum was starting to build. However, the investigation still faced hurdles. Significant details about suspects and the new evidence remained sealed. The detectives were actively seeking out from the public any assistance, any information, anything that they can do to bring light to this case. Notably, though, during this release, the FBI confirmed that the girl in the Polaroid photography that was long suspected to be Tara was not her. This revelation stirred both disappointment and relief for those that followed the case. I don't know how much relief came as her parents did pass away, and that would have been probably a really pivotal moment in their lives to this case. Now, the disappearance of Tara has captivated the public's imagination for years. This story has sparked various theories. Some speculated that she was kidnapped. Others believe that she may have been a victim of a cover-up accident, which is what the sheriff stated years prior. And others think that maybe she ran away. Each theory adds layers to this mystery, and the aftermath of that fateful day still remains unsolved. The lingering questions call out for answers. As we reflect on Tara's case, it's critical to remember that her disappearance was not just a statistic, but a profound tragedy that has affected countless lives. Her memory lives on, urging us to seek justice, closure, and ensure that she's never forgotten, and that those that may hold the key to her faith come forward. Bring that information to her family after all of these years. As I stated, her mother and stepfather passed away, but they held on to the hope that she would come home. Her mother suffered from strokes towards the end of her life and continuously looked out for Tara. When she would see a bike, she would point, she would write Tara's name. Her stepfather wanted justice to come, and they ended up moving to Florida. Years and years after this disappearance, they didn't want to leave her home, but they moved to Florida, and that's where they lived out the rest of their lives. I want to urge anyone that has any information on this case come forward. Her family deserves it. Her sister Michelle is continuously looking for answers, looking to bring that hope, the closure, any resources needed to help them. And that brings us to the end of an unsettling tale. As always, thank you for listening to Murder by Nature. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. And be sure to return this Thursday for a brand new story that will keep you up at night. Until then, I am Jasmine Ramirez, reminding you to stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, don't get murdered, or for the love of all things darkness, don't become a murderer. You've been warned, you beautiful haunted souls.